I was sitting on my daughter's back porch, watching my 6-year-old granddaughter Madison draw with sidewalk chalk, when my entire world shifted on its axis. It was an ordinary Thursday afternoon in late September. The Portland sun filtered through the maple trees, painting golden patterns across the concrete. Madison was humming something from that movie she loved, drawing what looked like a rainbow unicorn. "Grandma Linda," she said, not looking up from her artwork, "can I ask you something?" "Of course, sweetheart. What is it?" She set down the blue chalk and turned to me with those serious brown eyes that reminded me so much of my daughter Emily at that age. "Can I please stop taking the sleepy vitamins Miss Brittany gives me? They make my tummy feel funny, and I don't like how I can't wake up when Mommy comes home." The chalk in my hand snapped. My blood turned to ice in my veins. "What vitamins, honey?" I kept my voice steady, even though my heart was suddenly pounding against my ribs. 35 years as a nurse had taught me how to stay calm in a crisis, but this was my granddaughter. "Miss Brittany gives you vitamins?" Madison nodded, going back to her rainbow. "Uh-huh. Every day after school. She says there's special vitamins that help me be good and quiet while she works. They taste like cherries, but they make me really, really sleepy. And when I wake up, it's already dark and Mommy's home and I missed everything." I set down my own chalk carefully, willing my hands not to shake. "Madison, sweetheart, where are these vitamins? Can you show Grandma?" She stood up and took my hand, leading me into the house through the kitchen door. We went upstairs to her bedroom, painted soft lavender with stars on the ceiling. She opened her desk drawer and pulled out a small amber prescription bottle. The label had been peeled off. "Here," she said, handing it to me. "Miss Brittany said they're our special secret. But I don't like secrets that make me feel bad, and you always said I should tell you if something feels wrong." I held that bottle like it was a live grenade. My nursing instincts kicked in immediately. I opened it and shook out 2 pills into my palm. Round, white, unmarked. Could be anything, could be nothing. But combined with the symptoms Madison described, excessive drowsiness, grogginess, missing hours of time, my gut told me this was very, very wrong. "You did exactly right telling me. Sweetheart," I said, pulling her into a hug. "These are our special secret now, just yours and mine. Don't tell Miss Brittany we talked about this, okay? Can you do that for Grandma?" She nodded against my shoulder. "Am I in trouble?" "No, baby, not at all. You're perfect. You're so brave for telling me." I kissed the top of her head, breathing in her strawberry shampoo, and felt rage begin to simmer beneath my fear. "Let me back up and explain. My name is Linda Chen. I'm 63 years old, a retired pediatric nurse who spent 35 years at Oregon Health and Science University Hospital. My husband Robert died 3 years ago from a sudden heart attack while we were gardening together. One minute he was laughing about my terrible jokes, the next he was gone. My daughter Emily, 32, is my whole world now. Her and Madison. Emily works as a marketing manager at a tech startup downtown. Long hours, high pressure, but she loves it. Her husband James is a software engineer, works from home most days. They hired Brittany, a 26-year-old babysitter, 6 months ago to pick Madison up from first grade and watch her until Emily got home around 6. I lived 15 minutes away in the house Robert and I bought 40 years ago. I helped with Madison when I could, weekends mostly, occasional afternoons like today when Emily had a big presentation and needed backup childcare. I'd met Brittany exactly twice. Pretty girl, long blonde hair, always on her phone. Something about her made my skin crawl, but I told myself I was just being an overprotective grandmother. James had found her through some app. She had good reviews. She was CPR certified. What could go wrong? Apparently, everything. That evening, after I'd taken Madison out for ice cream and a movie, keeping her away from the house as long as possible, I went home and called my old colleague, Dr. Patricia Morrison. She'd retired from the hospital the same year I did, but kept her hand in consulting work. "Pat, I need a favor," no questions asked. "Linda, you're scaring me. What's going on?" I told her about the pills. She told me to bring them to her house immediately. 20 minutes later, I was sitting in her home office while she examined the tablets under a magnifying lamp. She had reference books spread across her desk, her reading glasses perched on her nose. "Where did you say these came from?" she asked. "I didn't. Can you identify them?" She was quiet for a long moment. Then she looked up at me, her face grave. "Linda, these are diphenhydramine, Benadryl, but the dose, if I'm reading these markings correctly, is 25 milligrams per tablet. For an adult dose, a 6-year-old should never take more than half of that, and never daily. This could cause serious side effects. Extreme drowsiness, yes, but also confusion, urinary retention, even hallucinations. Long-term use could affect her developing brain." The room spun. I gripped the edge of her desk. "Who's giving these to Madison?" Pat demanded. "Her babysitter." "Linda, you need to report this. Today, right now. I need evidence first. I need to be absolutely sure. You have the pills. I need to know why. I need to catch her in the act. Otherwise, she'll just say she made a mistake, thought they were children's vitamins, and it becomes he said, she said. Pat studied me. We'd worked together for decades. She knew when I was in protective mode. What do you need from me?" "Documentation. Write down everything, your professional analysis, the dangers, the dosage concerns. Sign and date it. I'm building a case." She did. I left her house with a manila folder full of damning medical evidence and a fury in my chest that threatened to consume me. I didn't call Emily that night. I needed more information first. Instead, I drove to Best Buy and spent $200 on a small wireless nanny cam disguised as a USB phone charger. The kid at the electronics counter showed me how to set it up, how to access the feed from my phone. The next morning, Friday, I called Emily at work. "Mom, I'm in a meeting. Can this wait? I need to come over this afternoon before Brittany gets there. I left my reading glasses. Just use your spare key. You don't need to ask." "Perfect." I let myself into Emily's house at noon. James was in his home office upstairs, door closed, on a video call. I could hear his voice droning about back-end architecture or whatever it is software engineers talk about. I moved quickly. The living room had an outlet near the TV where a real phone charger was already plugged in. I swapped it with the camera, angling it so it captured the couch, the hallway to Madison's room, and the front door. I tested it on my phone. Crystal clear video. Audio too. Then I got in my car and drove around the block, parking where I could see the house but wouldn't be obvious. At 2:30, Brittany's white Honda pulled into the driveway. She got out, checked her phone, fixed her hair in the car mirror. She was wearing tight jeans and a low-cut top. Not exactly appropriate babysitting attire, but what did I know about fashion these days? At 3:15, the school bus dropped Madison off. I watched my granddaughter walk up the driveway, backpack bouncing, waving at Brittany who'd come out to meet her. They went inside. I opened the app on my phone. What I saw made my blood boil. Brittany took Madison into the kitchen. "Snack time, sweetie. I made you a special smoothie." I watched Madison drink it. Within 15 minutes, my granddaughter was yawning, rubbing her eyes. "Feeling sleepy?" Brittany asked. "Why don't you go lie down on the couch for a little rest?" Madison nodded, already half asleep. She curled up on the couch, hugging her stuffed elephant. Within 5 minutes, she was out cold. And then James came downstairs. I watched my son-in-law, my daughter's husband, the father of my granddaughter, walk into that living room and pull Brittany into his arms. "Is she out?" he asked. "Completely. Gave her a double dose. She'll be out for at least 3 hours. He kissed her. Deep, passionate. The way he used to kiss Emily when they were newlyweds. "God, I missed you. Yesterday was torture." "I know, baby, but we only have to pretend a little longer. Once the divorce goes through, we can be together openly." She suspects something. Emily's been asking questions about my schedule. Just keep playing the devoted husband for a few more months. Once you establish that you're the primary caregiver because she works so much, you'll get custody, and then we can be a real family. I sat in my car, watching this unfold on my phone, and I wanted to scream. I wanted to storm in there and drag that girl out by her hair. I wanted to shake James until his teeth rattled. But I didn't. I recorded everything, every kiss, every word, every moment of my unconscious granddaughter lying on that couch while these two monsters planned to destroy my daughter's life. They were on the couch when Emily's car pulled into the driveway at 6 o'clock. James and Brittany sprang apart like teenagers caught making out. Brittany grabbed her bag. James ran upstairs. By the time Emily walked through the front door, Brittany was gently waking Madison up. "She had such a good nap," Brittany said brightly. "Must have been tired from school." Emily paid her, thanked her, showed her out. Then she scooped up a groggy Madison and carried her upstairs for a bath. I sat in my car until my hands stopped shaking enough to drive. That night, I called my late husband's lawyer, Michael Brennan. He'd handled our estate planning, our wills, everything. I trusted him completely. "Linda, it's been too long. How are you holding up?" "I need your help, Mike." "Not for me. For Emily." I told him everything. The pills, the affair, the custody plan. I sent him the video files, the medical documentation from Pat. He was quiet for a long time after I finished. "Linda, I need to be very clear here. This is criminal. The medication of a minor without parental consent, that's a felony in Oregon. The potential for harm, the premeditation, the documented admission on video that they're doing this to facilitate an affair and plan a custody grab, this is serious. What do I do?" "First, you need to tell Emily. Tonight. She'll be devastated. She needs to know. Second, we need to get the police involved. I have a contact in the Portland PD, a detective who handles cases involving children. With your video evidence and the medical documentation, they'll open an investigation immediately. Third, Emily needs to file for an emergency custody order and a restraining order against both James and Brittany. Will that hold up? With this evidence? Absolutely. Linda, you've done excellent work documenting this, but now we need to move fast before they realize, I called Emily and asked her to come over. Alone. I told her it was important, that I needed to show her something about Madison. She arrived 20 minutes later, face tight with worry. "Mom, what's wrong? Is Madison okay?" "Sit down, sweetheart." I showed her the pills first. Explained what they were, what they could do. Watched the color drain from her face. Then I showed her the video. I'll never forget the sound she made. It wasn't a scream. It wasn't crying. It was this awful, wounded animal sound that came from somewhere deep in her chest. She watched her husband kiss another woman, watched them drug her daughter, watched them plan to take Madison away from her. When the video ended, she sat in silence for a full minute. Then she looked at me with eyes that had gone completely flat and cold. "I want him destroyed," she said quietly. "I want both of them destroyed." "We will, baby. We will." Michael Brennan came over within the hour. We sat at my kitchen table, the three of us, and we planned. Step 1. Document everything. Emily would act normally, wouldn't let on that she knew. I would continue to babysit when needed. We would gather more video evidence over the next week. Step 2. Contact the police. Michael's detective friend, Sergeant Maria Rodriguez, would review the evidence and determine the best approach for criminal charges. Step 3. File for emergency custody and divorce. Simultaneously, catch James completely off guard. Step 4. Make sure Brittany faced consequences too. The next week was the hardest of my life. Watching Emily go home to that man every night, kiss him goodnight, pretend everything was fine. Watching Madison continue to be drugged. We couldn't stop it without tipping them off, and we needed more evidence, more instances documented to make the criminal charges stick. I recorded 5 more afternoons. 5 more times watching Brittany give my granddaughter those pills. 5 more times watching James come downstairs and betray his family. On the 6th day, we met with Sergeant Rodriguez at the Portland Police Bureau. She was a woman in her 40s, sharp-eyed and no-nonsense. She watched our video compilation in silence, read Pat's medical documentation, examined the pills we'd kept as evidence. "Mrs. Chen," she said finally, "you've done our job for us. This is one of the most well-documented cases of child endangerment I've seen from a civilian. We can absolutely move forward with charges against Miss Brittany Wilson. The question is, do we have enough to charge Mr. James Chen as well?" "He knew," Emily said, her voice steady despite the tears on her face. "He knew what she was doing. He asked her if Madison was out. He approved of this. That may not be enough for criminal conspiracy, unless we can prove he specifically knew the substance and its dangers. However," Rodriguez leaned forward, "we can definitely use this evidence in your custody case. And we can bring Miss Wilson in today if you're ready." "Do it," Emily said. We'll need to do a controlled operation. We'll have officers in place tomorrow afternoon. Miss Wilson will arrive as usual. When she attempts to give Madison the medication, we'll intervene and make the arrest. Mrs. Chen, I'll need you to pick up Madison from school tomorrow so she's not actually present for the arrest. We'll use the video feed to confirm she attempts the act, then move in. The next day, Friday, I picked Madison up from school as planned. I told her we were going to the zoo, just us girls. She was thrilled. Meanwhile, Emily took the afternoon off work, citing a migraine. She went home and found James in his office, exactly where he'd be when Brittany arrived. The police were staged in an unmarked van down the street. At 2:30, Brittany arrived. She let herself in with the key James had given her. She went to the kitchen and prepared a smoothie, just like always. But this time, there was no Madison to drug. James came downstairs at 2:45. Where is she? Where's Madison? I don't know. She should have been dropped off 15 minutes ago. Maybe the bus was late? They checked their phones. James called the school. That's when Emily walked downstairs. Looking for our daughter? She asked. They both spun around. Brittany went pale. James started to speak, but Emily cut him off. I know everything. The drugs, the affair, your plan to take Madison from me. She held up her phone, showing the paused video of them kissing. Did you really think I wouldn't find out? Emily, I can explain, James started. Don't. Her voice was ice. Just don't. That's when Sergeant Rodriguez and 2 other officers came through the front door. Brittany Wilson, you're under arrest for reckless endangerment of a minor and unlawful distribution of a controlled substance. Rodriguez pulled out handcuffs. You have the right to remain silent. Brittany started screaming, crying, saying she didn't do anything wrong. They were just vitamins. She was just trying to help. We have video evidence of you admitting to giving the child a double dose of medication, Rodriguez said calmly, cuffing her. We have the pills. We have medical expert testimony. Save it for your lawyer. James stood frozen, watching them take Brittany out to the squad car. Then he turned to Emily. I never meant for it to go this far, he whispered. I fell in love with her. I didn't know what to do. You drugged our daughter so you could fuck your girlfriend in our house, Emily said, her voice deadly quiet, while our child was unconscious on the couch. You planned to take her from me, and you're sorry it went this far? I didn't know the pills were dangerous. You thought what? That it was fine to sedate a 6-year-old so she wouldn't interrupt your affair? What kind of father does that? One of the officers stepped forward. Mr. Chen, we're not arresting you today, but we strongly advise you to retain legal counsel. The district attorney's office will be reviewing the evidence to determine if charges are warranted. Emily handed James an envelope. Divorce papers. Emergency custody order. Restraining order. You have 24 hours to get your things and get out of this house. Come near me or Madison again, and I'll have you arrested for violation of the order. Emily, please, get out. I was waiting at my house when Emily called me 30 minutes later. It's done, she said. Mom, it's done. Can you bring Madison home? Are you sure you're ready, sweetheart? I need to see her. I need to hold my baby and know she's safe. I brought Madison home. Emily scooped her up the second we walked through the door and just held her, crying into her hair. Mommy, what's wrong? Madison asked, confused. Nothing, baby. Everything's going to be okay now. Grandma Linda made sure of it. The legal fallout took months. Brittany was charged with 2 felonies, reckless endangerment of a minor and unlawful distribution of a controlled substance. The video evidence was overwhelming. Her public defender tried to argue she didn't know the medication was dangerous, but Pat's testimony as a medical expert destroyed that defense. The pills were adult strength. Any reasonable person would know not to give them to a child, especially not daily double doses. She took a plea deal. 3 years in prison, 5 years probation, permanent prohibition from working with children. James avoided criminal charges, but barely. The district attorney determined they couldn't prove beyond a reasonable doubt that he knew the specific substance and its dangers, but the civil case destroyed him. Emily got everything. Full custody of Madison, the house, 70% of their combined assets. James was ordered to pay child support and alimony. His software engineering career took a hit when word got out. The tech community in Portland is small, and everyone talks. He ended up taking a job in Seattle and moving away. Good riddance. The divorce was finalized 6 months after the arrest. Emily threw a party. We called it her freedom celebration. All her friends came. Madison made a cake that said "New Beginning" in messy frosting letters. That was a year ago. Today, I'm sitting in Emily's backyard again, watching Madison draw with sidewalk chalk. She's 7 now, thriving in 2nd grade. No more drowsiness, no more grogginess. She's bright and energetic and so full of life. Emily is inside the kitchen, cooking dinner with her boyfriend Ryan. They met 6 months ago at a friend's barbecue. He's a pediatrician at Dornbecker Children's Hospital. He's patient and kind, and he treats Madison like she's precious. I can hear them laughing, hear Madison singing to herself as she draws. And I think about how close we came to losing all of this. If Madison hadn't trusted me enough to tell me about those sleepy vitamins, if I hadn't acted fast, if I hadn't documented everything. But she did. And I did. And now we're here. Ryan comes out onto the porch, carrying a tray of lemonade. "Linda, you want some?" "I'd love some, thank you." He sits down next to me, watching Madison with this soft expression. "Emily told me what you did for them, how you saved Madison. I did what any grandmother would do. I protected my family. Not every grandmother would have had the courage or the knowledge to do what you did. You built a legal case from scratch. You got justice." I smile. 35 years as a nurse teaches you to document everything and trust your gut. And my gut told me something was very wrong. Madison runs over, holding up her drawing. "Grandma, look! It's you and me and Mommy and Ryan." 4 stick figures holding hands under a rainbow. A house with a heart over it, a sun in the corner. "It's beautiful, sweetheart. We're a family now," she says matter-of-factly. Ryan said families are people who protect each other and make each other happy. That's us. I pull her into my lap. This brave little girl who trusted me with her secret. That's exactly us, baby. Emily comes out, wiping her hands on a towel. She sees us all together and her eyes get a little misty. She sits on the steps and Ryan puts his arm around her. "Thank you, Mom," she says quietly. "For everything. For believing Madison. For fighting for us. For being the strong one when I couldn't be." "You're stronger than you know," I tell her. "You survived something that would have broken a lot of people. And look at you now. New job promotion. Beautiful daughter. A man who actually deserves you." Ryan kisses her temple. "She's pretty amazing." Madison wiggles out of my lap and grabs his hand. "Ryan, come see the rainbow I made. It has purple and pink." As I watch them walk across the lawn together, this new little family that rose from the ashes of betrayal, I think about Robert. How I wish he was here to see this, how proud he'd be. But I also think he'd understand why I did what I did. When someone threatens your family, you don't hesitate. You don't second guess. You gather your evidence, you build your case, and you strike with everything you have. That's what it means to be a protector. That's what it means to be a grandmother. And I'd do it all over again in a heartbeat.